Are you living in your own dream? Perhaps you have met someone who is always talking about big goals. They want to become wealthy, successful, financially free, or build a life completely different from the one they have today. They can describe that future in such vivid detail that other people begin to believe their success is only a few steps away. But then months, or even years, pass, and almost nothing changes. The strange thing is that these people are not lacking ambition. They are not lacking knowledge or ideas either. In fact, they often know exactly what they need to do to improve their lives. So why do they still fail to take action? Many people assume the answer is simple laziness. But psychology offers a very different explanation. Behind many unfinished dreams are invisible psychological mechanisms quietly keeping people stuck in the same place. And if you do not understand how these forces work, you may spend your entire life imagining a better future without ever truly moving toward it. One of the most common reasons people never take action is that the brain can easily confuse thinking about success with actually moving closer to it. When you constantly imagine your ideal future, create detailed plans, or talk about your big goals, your brain still generates a certain sense of satisfaction. It feels as if you have just taken an important step forward, even though no real action has been taken. That is why many people spend hours watching motivational videos, reading books about success, or designing perfect plans. They feel productive, they feel like they are making progress, and they believe they are getting closer to their goals. But that feeling is often nothing more than an illusion. Once the brain receives a reward from imagining success, the urgency to take action begins to fade. In the end, they keep thinking, keep planning, and keep dreaming, while their lives remain exactly where they started. Many people believe they do not take action because they lack motivation. But the truth is that motivation is often not the biggest problem. What is really holding them back is the fear of failure. They are afraid that if they truly begin, they might discover they are not as capable as they once believed. They fear rejection, criticism, and the inevitable mistakes that come with growth and progress. As a result, they choose to stay in the comfort zone of endless preparation and planning. What makes this even more interesting is that as long as you do not take action, your dream remains perfect. You can continue believing that you would succeed if you really tried. But the moment you start, reality enters the picture. You may make mistakes, experience setbacks, or move much slower than expected. And that is exactly what many people are trying to avoid. They are not protecting their future, they are protecting their ego. If you have ever postponed an important goal because you were afraid of failing, leave a comment and share your experience. You might discover that many others feel the same way. And if you see yourself in these words, do not forget to like the video and support the channel. There is a psychological trap that keeps countless people stuck for years. They believe they will start when the right moment finally arrives. They tell themselves that once they have more time, more money, more experience, or more motivation, they will take action. It sounds reasonable, but the problem is that the perfect moment almost never comes. Psychology suggests that the feeling of being ready usually appears after we begin, not before. Most successful people did not start with complete confidence. They did not wait until all their fears disappeared before taking action. Instead, they moved forward while still doubting themselves. It was the small actions repeated day after day that gradually built the confidence, experience, and sense of readiness they had been waiting for. Meanwhile, people who keep waiting often become trapped in an endless cycle of preparation. They convince themselves that tomorrow will be a better time to start. But then tomorrow turns into another tomorrow, and the cycle continues. Before they realize it, months or even years have passed, while the life they dream about remains exactly where it was, only in their imagination. Many people believe that thinking deeply is a sign of intelligence. But in many cases, overthinking becomes the biggest obstacle to taking action. People with big dreams often spend a tremendous amount of time analyzing everything. They carefully evaluate every possible step, imagine every potential outcome, and search for the perfect choice before they begin. The problem is that the brain has a limited amount of mental energy. Every time you repeatedly analyze, worry, and weigh different possibilities, that energy is slowly consumed. By the time the moment to act arrives, you feel exhausted, as if you have already completed a major task, even though, in reality, you have not done anything yet. That is why so many people can spend hours thinking about exercising, learning a new skill, or starting a personal project, only to take no action at all. They become trapped in a cycle where thinking feels productive, but nothing actually changes. Sometimes, what you need is not more thinking. What you need is to start before your brain has the chance to create another excuse for delaying. Action often brings clarity far faster than endless analysis ever can. One of the most powerful psychological barriers lies in the way you see yourself. The brain naturally seeks consistency between beliefs and actions. If, deep down, you believe that you are undisciplined, someone who gives up easily, or simply not capable enough, your mind will unconsciously resist any behavior that contradicts that identity. That is why so many people set ambitious goals, but repeatedly sabotage their own progress. Every time they begin to move forward, a familiar voice appears in their mind. I'm not the kind of person who succeeds. I've never been able to stay consistent, or I'll probably quit eventually anyway. And in the end, they act in ways that reinforce those beliefs. The truth is that you cannot build a new life while holding on to an old identity. If you want different results, you must first change the way you see yourself. Your actions are often a reflection of the story you keep telling yourself about who you are. If you are committed to becoming a better version of yourself, take a second to like this video. Let it serve as a reminder that lasting change always begins from within. There is a difficult truth that many people struggle to accept. They do not truly love the effort required for success. They love the feeling of having potential. Imagining a successful future version of yourself can be incredibly rewarding. It makes you feel special, hopeful, and convinced that one day your life will be completely different. The problem is that this feeling is often far more appealing than the actual work needed to make that future a reality. Talking about becoming a successful entrepreneur is much more exciting than making those first uncomfortable phone calls. Dreaming about having a strong, healthy body feels better than waking up early every day to exercise. Imagining yourself standing out in the future is always easier than accepting the repetitive and often boring tasks that must be done in the present. That is why so many people remain trapped in the world of potential. They fall in love with the idea of who they could become, but avoid the effort required to truly become that person. In the end, they keep protecting the dream, while never doing the work that would turn it into reality. After everything we have discussed, you may realize that the gap between successful people and those who remain trapped in their dreams is not as large as many imagine. Both experience fear. Both go through periods of low motivation. Both have doubted themselves, procrastinated, and felt like giving up at times. The real difference is not talent, luck, or extraordinary intelligence. The difference lies in one simple thing. One person chooses to act, while the other continues to wait. Successful people do not take action because they always feel confident. They take action in order to build confidence. They do not wait until all their fears disappear before they begin. They start even while they are still afraid. They understand that no one can think their way into a better life. Life only changes when thoughts are transformed into real actions. In the end, success is not a reward reserved for those who dream the biggest dreams. It belongs to those who are willing to take the first step, even when they cannot see the entire path ahead. They move forward anyway, trusting that clarity comes from action, not from endless waiting. One of the most common mistakes people make is believing that changing their life requires doing something extraordinary. Because of this mindset, many continue to procrastinate, feeling that their goals are too distant or too difficult to begin. In reality, however, most major transformations are built from small actions, repeated consistently over a long period of time. You do not need to read an entire book in a single day. You only need to read a few pages. You do not need to exercise for 2 hours every day. You simply need to start with a few minutes of movement. You do not need to build an entire business within a month. You only need to complete the first step. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they are the true source of momentum and meaningful progress. Many people spend their lives waiting for a breakthrough moment that will change everything. But life rarely works that way. Success is usually built through small choices and simple actions repeated day after day. The future you dream about is often shaped not by one dramatic decision, but by the tiny steps you are willing to take today. In the end, perhaps the most important question is not how big your dreams are, but whether you are willing to take the very first step. Everyone has the right to imagine a better future. Everyone can picture a version of themselves that is more successful, happier, and stronger. But if those visions remain only in your mind, they will stay nothing more than possibilities that were never explored. Time will continue to move forward, whether you take action or not. 1 year from now, you may look back and see that you have moved closer to your goals. Or you may realize that you are still standing in the exact same place, carrying the same dreams and the same promises you never fulfilled. The difference between those two outcomes often begins with one small decision: the decision to start. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need perfect confidence, perfect timing, or a perfect plan. What matters most is your willingness to begin, even when the path ahead is uncertain. Every meaningful achievement starts with a single step, and every great transformation begins with a simple choice. If you see yourself in what you have heard today and want to become a better version of yourself one day at a time, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Join us for more videos on psychology, personal growth, and practical ways to take control of your life and create the future you truly want.